Kyle, right now we're in an interesting market. We did a podcast not too long ago about how to prep your sellers for this market, how to do some different techniques to help listings that are sitting stale for a while. Well, now that the market is slowed down, this is the closest to a buyer market we've seen probably in 10, 15 years. Well,
we had 22 when the rates skyrocketed in like 1 month. It was a buyer's market for a little bit.
Yep, but no one wanted to buy.
Right. And then at the very beginning of COVID, you had a little bit of a buyer's market. But outside of that, it's been quite a while.
Yeah, so it's been little peaks, but
blips, but not a sustained buyer's market.
I guess it's been less of a seller's market, but those buyer's market were pretty shitty for buyers.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of circumstances that cause them. But right now, it's more like, I guess there's still circumstances. There's a lot of external stuff right now. Just uncertainty that's got people paused.
So on today's podcast, like I said, we did the one on sellers, how to communicate with that and how to make sure that we don't lose listings. How do we get our buyers off the fence? Yep. Or how do we get them to see this as an opportunity to, I don't like the word take advantage of the market, because but I'm not mad at it. We're not taking advantage of people.
You sell a home and it's a seller's market. You want to take advantage of the fact seller's market and get as much money as possible. Yeah. So there's nothing wrong with trying to get the lowest price possible when it's a buyer's market.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's okay to say that.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad.
Well, I was thinking about it. I don't like take advantage of people, but taking advantage of the situation or the market, sure. Yeah. So I want to.
We're still good people. It's okay.
Good people, bad things. Got it. I'm just kidding. We're good things. So long story short, how do people, even maybe that are heavy listing agents right now, how do they survive this time and really work with their buyer pipeline?
Cool. Well, we'll jump into it here in just a minute. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with eXp Realty.
I'm Bryan Koci, and Kyle's got a dope shirt if you guys are watching on the podcast, if you're watching on YouTube. My favorite shirt he's ever had.
Pineapples with sunglasses and headphones on.
You have a cooler shirt than I do today, and I'm disappointed.
I got more color, more creativity. Yeah. Is that the shirt you got for Scottsdale?
It is. And this was my kind of ease into Scottsdale. Yeah. But yours is very cool. I'm jealous. If you want to get rid of it, give it to me.
Well, welcome to the Whissel Way podcast. The way we run the show is we answer the questions that you guys have for us. So if there's ever a question you want to have answered on the show, you can always go to thewhisselway.com. While you're there, you can also subscribe to the podcast and YouTube channel, join our referral list for all the outbound referrals of people leaving San Diego. And if you want to get some tips and tricks, you can join our private Facebook group or email newsletter. Lastly, if you want to level up your content creation game, that is audio, that's video, that's social. We have a course all there at thewhisselway.com. So yeah, Bryan, let's jump into it. First, let's just kind of hit what's happening in the market right now.
Yep.
Rates haven't really changed a whole lot. There's been small fluctuations, a quarter point here, quarter point there, but for the most part, rates haven't changed.
And are they in the sixes still?
High sixes, yeah. Okay. Like maybe low sevens, but we've been hovering, high sixes for quite a while now. So a lot of market shifts are like 22 when rates tripled in a 1 month period, like naturally, like that was what caused buyers to sit on the sidelines, and then you had COVID, obviously that caused buyers to sit on the sidelines. So there's usually some sort of driving factor. 2007, 2008, you had the subprime mortgage crisis happen and everybody lost their jobs. Like it was a terrible time. So there's always some sort of cause that typically causes these buyers markets. And right now, the main cause is that there's just a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, right? Politically, economically, like there's just a lot of stuff happening. So there's the tariff talk, there's war talk, there's, tax bills. There's just so many things that are happening.
The only talk that I know is TikTok.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you could watch TikTok and learn all about these things. So, there's just so much happening right now. It's causing a lot of people to be like, hey, let me just take a step back. Let's let the dust settle. Like, what's the deal with this tax bill? Okay, that's happening. What about this war? Are we at war with Iran, or are we getting ourselves into this or that? Like, there's just a lot that's happening. And so I understand what's causing some people to pause. But right now, the opportunity is crazy. Because the last time that we saw this back in 22, the reason that people were pausing is because rates tripled. The beauty today is rates haven't tripled. The beauty today is that millions and millions of people haven't lost their job like they did in 2007-8. People aren't dying like they did during COVID. Like, right now, yes, there's some people dying with some of the stuff happening with wars, and that's terrible. I wish war didn't exist.
I'm glad you added that. People are like, oh, is Kyle happy about this?
I don't like that part. But outside of that, this is, comparatively is not so bad, right? So there's this opportunity right now where the buyer hasn't had the power for a long time. And, maybe again, little blips in 22 and 20. Outside of that, we're on a 13-year, 15-year run of seller's market. So this is one of those, rare opportunities where the buyer's got some power right now, and it's kind of fun.
So it says this listing agent. So there are situations where buyers have to buy, right? For whatever reason. And I don't know if we need to get into that too much. What I'm really more curious on is the people in the pipeline that said, that are on the fence that said, I'll buy when the market crashes, or I'll buy after the election, how do we market to those people? How do we reach out to those people and say, I got a deal for you, or like, this is the time to get a deal, or like, what does that look like? What does that sound like?
For sure. So there's, me, if you guys don't know, my degree is in economics. I just study charts and graphs and numbers, like that's my jam. And that has served me pretty well in my career to use data to drive action, as opposed, because look, there's, reports out there of like the sleaziest jobs in the world, and like real estate agents show up on a lot of those, and just salespeople in general show up on all of them. So people always feel like you're trying to sell them something because you're just telling them, right? It's your word. But when you can actually show them something, it feels a lot less like you're trying to sell them something. So I like to use data whenever I can to help support whatever my thesis is or whatever my statement is to people. So in a market like today, the beauty is we're early in this buyer's market right now. In fact, a lot of people don't even realize we're in a buyer's market right now because most people look at data that's all lagging indicators like median sales price, number of homes sold, sale price to list price ratio, which are all lagging indicators, right? We're sitting here, we're in early July right now, recording this. And even the data I can get from my own association of realtors is, I don't even know if they have the June data up yet. They just barely put the June data up, but the stuff that closed in June went under contract in April and May. So even like as close as I can be there, I'm still looking at 2 or 3 month old data, right? But if you look at the leading indicator data, which is things along the line of what's happening with the inventory, the supply of homes for sales, great leading indicator. So you can be looking at how many new homes are coming on the market, how many homes are going pending off the market. And most places, the number of new homes is far exceeding the number of pending homes, which is causing inventory to increase. You're starting to see days on market increase. We like to look at median list price. I actually like that more than median sale price because I don't know, last time I checked, something has to be listed before it sells. So if median list price starts to drop, pretty obvious that median sale price is going to drop. So median list price can get us, a little bit in front of things. So we just try to look more at the leading indicators.
There's a few more, like homes with price decreases.
Yeah, right. The number of homes with price decrease. We use Altos research, ALTOS, like Altos a lot. They have multiple charts that I like to look at, but one of them is the number of homes with price decreases. One of them is the inventory. One of them is median days on market. And then there's another one that's a combination of 2 data points, rate of sale and inventory of homes for sale. They call that market action index. So if you have a high rate of sale and a low inventory of homes for sale, that number goes up. And if it's inverted, where it's a low rate of sale, high inventory, the number goes down. That number, and they go 5 years back, like that number's the lowest it's been in 5 years. The number of homes with price decreases is the highest it's been at this time of year in 5 years. So you just have all this data, the inventory, the highest it's been at this time of year in 5 years. So all the data tells us the market's going down right now, but there's kind of a window of opportunity where not everybody understands that yet. So it's kind of fun to know the data and to be able to get ahead of that stuff. And play into that because the market is shifting and you get to take advantage of that if you understand.
So how do you communicate that with either people in your database or people in your sphere or people online, like without being to go, oh, he's just trying to make me buy?
For sure. So if you try to tell somebody all that data, like in an email or over the phone, good freaking luck. That's going to be a really hard one. The better thing you can do is show somebody a property that was listed at X and ended up selling at Y, with Y being lower than X. So for example, hey, Brian, I know you were looking at properties in Santee. This one just sold in Santee. This thing was listed for $1 million. They ended up taking $900,000. So it's the inverse, right? Like when we do a just sold piece, we want to talk about we listed it for 900, we sold it for $1 million. I want you to invert that right now for your buyers. Because if I show you, oh, wait, I might be able to actually get a deal. And I'm not just telling you it's a good time to get a deal. I'm showing you an exact property listed for $1 million, sold at 900. You're like, oh, that's going to like pique my interest and get me more open to the conversation. Then when I sit down with that person, then we can maybe share some of that data, obviously depending on their disc profile. Maybe I share all that. Maybe I share like one slide, like one, screenshot or something with them. I don't want to go too deep. So know your audience and talk in their language, so you don't overwhelm them.
So what would you look for if I'm looking in the MLS, and you know the MLS search criteria better than I do? What are you looking for if you say, hey, I got a deal? Or if I'm looking for the deal of the week, what criteria are you looking for?
Yeah, it's going to be a little geeky, but you need to kind of just figure out like what's the median home size in your area. So Brian, where you live, in your particular part of Santee, the median home is a 3 or 4 bedroom, 15-ish hundred square foot home built like in the 70s or 80s. Like that's what you live in, and that's the median over there. So what I want to do is figure out like what's been the median sale price over the last like 90 days. And so let's say that median sale price is $500 a square foot, which is actually probably pretty close to what it is where you are. So if that's the median of what stuff sold for in the last 90 days, what I want to do is set up a search for properties that get listed with a median sale price of like $450 or less, or maybe $400 or less. So it can start to help me find things that are being listed at a lower number. So that's one way that I can find them.
That's cool. I wasn't even, that's not the route that I was going.
The key is you got to save a search, right? You got to figure out like, what does that client want, or just a general area. But if you know what the client wants, figure out what have properties that are similar to what the client wants sold for. And then same thing, set a filter that's like at least 10% below that. And so that's one, like when I used to do a lot of flips, that was how I would find flips, is like, I really want to flip 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes in Claremont. Here's what they normally sell for. I don't want to waste time with anything that's listed at that price per square foot. Only show me stuff that's at least 10% below that. All so right. That's a one way you can find deals. The other way is to save searches for anything that's had a price reduction that's been on the market over 30 days. Because over 30 days, people are freaking the hell out right now. Over 60 days, they're really freaking out. 90 days, it's the end of the world. So also setting searches up to find properties that have experienced price decreases and or have a days on market beyond 30 days, ideally 60 plus days. And so that's how you can find those properties, either on the market, undervalued, right, or perceived undervalued, which the reality is that home's going to sell, and all those ones that are sitting are going to end up having to sell for less. So maybe it's not undervalued, but at least feels undervalued for now. But where the deals are, where you're going to find the actual deal, that's going to be on those ones that have been sitting for a while typically.
All right, so you found the deal. You go, hey, look, this one's been 67 days on the market. It's had 3 price reductions. We know it's not listed what it's worth, what it was listed for the first time. Yeah. And they keep reducing the price, which means we know they're trying to get it out. Yeah. How do you structure an offer? How do you reach out to the listing agent? How do you do something? Because the home seller is probably not happy as it is. Correct. And they've reduced it 3 times. They're already pissed. They think it was worth $800. Now they're at $725. Coming in there and say, I'll give you $600 for it, they're gonna blow everything up. Yeah. How do you structure that to where you don't piss them off, but yet you still probably get a better deal than what's listed?
So you said it yourself, right? The seller's not happy. You know who is happy? The listing agent when you call them.
I will potentially have a buyer for you. Let's talk.
The listing agent who's been getting their ass kicked by the seller week in and week out, you're stupid, you're not doing your job, I'm gonna hire somebody else, blah, blah. When you call them, yes, and by the way, like we call like this, like put the phone up to our ear, not just text them. When you pick up the phone and call the listing agent, they're like, hallelujah, right? Like, save me, please, because I'm about to get fired. They're happy you called. Where in a seller's market, they're like, I don't got time for this, right? Right now, man, they'll take all the time in the world. They'll do anything for you to write a freaking offer on their property. So very important to pick up the phone and call the listing agent. Like that's where all negotiation starts. You guys got to get this through your head. Like negotiations are done by picking the phone up and holding it up to your ear, not holding it in your hand, right? We're not texting and negotiating. We're calling and negotiating. We're meeting in person and negotiating. If you strictly text and negotiate, you're going to leave a lot of money on the deal. You're going to lose a lot of deals to people that are picking up the phone. Like if you want to get better, pick up the phone, because now in communication, Meridian's model of communication, like the text is only 7%, or the words that we say is only 7% of communication. I think it's 38%, and 55% are tonality and body language. So I don't remember which is which off the top of my head, but those are the numbers.
Probably it quite adds up to 100, doesn't it?
7, 38, 55. Yeah,
okay.
That adds up to 100. You're missing tonality, right, if you're not getting on the phone, or you're missing body language if you're not getting in person. So we got to try to actually negotiate in person if we can, on the phone if we can, on Zoom if we can. Like we got to get together with people, not just text and email. Way too many people are relying on that. So call the listing agent, be like, hey man, how's it going?
Bad. Next week.
Thank you for calling. Don't do that if you're a listing agent. Play cool. But now just have a conversation. Find out what's the seller's motivation, right? Like that's what it's all about. Now some listing agents will stonewall you and they won't tell you anything. But you'll find that people are more willing to talk now than they were 6 months ago when it was more of a balanced market. So they're more willing to tell you what the seller's situation is. This is where they're going. Like, where are the sellers going? When would they like to be there, right? Like, find all that stuff out. The more you know about the motivation, the better. And then find out, like, what's important to them in an offer, right? Do they need a rent back? Do they want a short escrow? Do they want a long escrow? Never assume people want a short escrow. You can actually shoot yourself in the foot if you write like a 7-day escrow and they're like, oh, like my house isn't ready for 3 months. What am I going to do? Like you shoot yourself in the foot, but that's why you make a phone call and you ask questions. So I like to find out what's important to the seller in an offer. And then I also ask what's important to you, the listing agent, in the offer. Because a lot of times people don't ask that. They just ask, what's the seller looking for? What's the seller looking for? So I like to flip the script and ask, what are you looking for as a listing agent? So that helps give me some guidance. And then I'll also ask them like, hey, have you guys had any offers up to this point? Or are we, if we put something in, will we be the first offer? If there's been other offers, like how have they responded to those offers? Like ask some questions like that as well.
Now, what point can you can do whatever you want. What point would you recommend going in? Again, we said it started at, I don't remember the price, 800, now it's at 725. They've done 3 price reductions. Offering them $500,000 is not likely going to do many things. Even if you prep the agent, hey, I'm going to be sending you a low offer. Is there a rule of thumb like, hey, I'd be cautious going below 10% below or 15, like
10's probably where, if I got something that's sitting on the market 90 days, they've had 0 offers, they're clearly overpriced, right? They would have had some offers if not. So I need to make sure I'm getting a substantial discount, because if it was priced correctly, it would have offers. So the fact it doesn't have offers means it's priced too high. So I need to make sure I'm getting it enough of a discount that it makes sense for my client to buy it. So if you guys buy a property that's been sitting for now obviously every market's different. We're in Southern California. Our average market time, even now where it's slower, it's still 35 days, average days on market. 90's a lot for us. If you're in a market where 90's normal, obviously adapt, but 30's like pretty normal for us. So 90 days, like that's a long time on market, right? People are they expected that they would have sold already. So if we're sitting like that many days on market and it hasn't sold, it's clearly overpriced. So we need to get a discount. Don't pay full price for a property that's sat for 90 days if you're in San Diego. You should be looking for a discount on that. But 10% is kind of a reasonable number, right? So if something is listed at 725 and we're offering like 650, like that's a reasonable number. If you got the right client who's like, hey, I want to get a deal, as long as you can get me like at least 1,500 square feet in Santee, if you need to throw a few offers out there, go for it. Like if I got a client who's cool with it, they're not like a super picky client where like the house has to check every box. I'll ask the client like, hey, are you cool? Like can we offer on 2 or 3 of these, or they're not like in love with one house, then maybe I'm going more than 10%. Right? Maybe I'm throwing out 600, or I'm 125 below list. But if it's slow enough, they've had no offers and the client's comfortable with like any one of these 3 properties, then I'm probably going to be more aggressive.
That makes sense. What are some things that as a buyer's agent you do not want to do in this market? Either for your current clients or you don't want to alienate future clients. Because if you go, talk with me, I'll get you the best price, discount Donald, whatever, a listing agent's going to be like, I don't want discount Donald, right? Or whatever. Hopefully there's no discount Donald. Are there things where you're like, hey, this might be a good marketing play right now, but long term it might hurt your brand?
I mean, if you're just spraying and praying offers, if that's 725 listing and you offer 500 and you never talk to the listing agent, you're just spraying a shitload of lowball offers out there, that will hurt your brand for sure. Okay. If you're going to lowball somebody, you need to have a conversation with them first. It's just a professional courtesy, also reduces the shock factor and gives you a more positive result. So you do want to pick up the phone and have a conversation. Anytime right, this is whether you're submitting a low offer, a big request for repairs, like you should always have a conversation to brace somebody for it before you send something like that over.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to add about being a buyer's agent in this market, getting people off the fence?
This is what you've been waiting for. Y'all been waiting for this. You've been complaining for years about how hard it is to be a buyer's agent. Like, it's not hard now. Your job just got easier. Like, this is your time to shine. This is what you have been waiting for a long time, to actually have some power in your hands and not have it all be in the seller's hands. So, like, if you got a ton of buyers, like you've been doing open houses like crazy, you've been getting Zillow Flex leads, like all this stuff, this is your time to shine. Like, work, get out there and take advantage, because I don't know how long this lasts. If all these things start to settle in place, this buyer's market could be over really quick. If the Fed starts to drop rates, this market could be over really quick. So get out there and take advantage of this buyer's market while it lasts.
So I want to end with our segment that I like to call What Would Whissel Do? But I didn't quite prep yet because I was working on something else. So I know you've been doing, this week I think you did a huddle, our Tuesday meeting, and deal doctoring. Yeah. So you've had a lot of FaceTime with the agents.
And our rookie mastermind, and our veteran mastermind.
Yep, I was hoping to record those yesterday.
Mastermind.
So I want you to share a scenario that someone came to you with this week that you're like, oh, I have a really good solution, and we'll just pretend I looked it up beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, one is an agent. This is the one on the seller side, so I'm not thinking of one on the buy side off the top of my head. But she's got a seller, property sitting, 0 showings. Seller's like, what's going on? I've had 7. Actually, I'm sorry. This one had 17 showings. I want to correct myself. 17 showings, 0 offers. So what we like to say is clearly the price was attractive enough to get the buyers to come see the home. There's something about the home that's not attractive enough to get the buyers to offer. And she was like, well, I haven't really been able to get good feedback from anybody. Nobody's giving me feedback. I was like, you know why it's not selling. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you know. I don't have to tell you. You know, what is it? She's like, well, it's this yard. It's like, exactly, you know this. So 17 people have come seen it. Nobody's offered. You know the yard's a problem. Go back to your seller and say, hey, this yard's a problem. We need to make an adjustment on the price. Here's what I recommend we do. So, you typically in that scenario, 17 offers, or 17 showings, you should have had multiple offers at that point. I've actually adjusted my metric now where I want to see 3 showings every 2 weeks. And I want to see an offer within 6 showings right now because it's harder to get showings. It's harder to get buyers to come see homes. So,
because it was 8.
It was typically I want to see 2 showings a week, 4 over a 2 week period. Right now I've lowered that to 3. And then normally I want to see an offer within 8 showings. Now that's 6 because it's just harder. There's less buyers out there right now. So again, this thing's fluid. It's always adjusting. But those are my metrics right now. So the fact she's at 17 showings and no offers. Prices attract buyers are like, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,500 square feet for this price. Like, let's go see it. And they get out there, they're not offering. So clearly something when they got out there was the problem. We identified it was the yard. We realized, comping the property maybe didn't account for, we looked at total lot size, not usable lot size. Realized, all right, we need to adjust. Boom.
Okay.
Cool.
I love that.
Awesome. Well, guys, hopefully you got some value out of the show today. If you did, if you were listening on a podcast platform, make sure to subscribe. If you can write a quick little review, your biggest takeaway, whether it's from today's show or a previous show, those mean the world to us. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Let YouTube know you enjoyed the show. If you have a question, throw it in the comment section. Brian and I respond to those personally. And if you want more of our content, hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell. With that said, I want to thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Whissel Way podcast. Stay connected with Brian